Welcome to The Crap and the Crazy with Tash Critter. Tash owns Little Wooden Toy Box and is mother of two teens, both with autism, ADHD and PDA. 10 years in early intervention, working with the kids' OTs, speechies and psychologists has given Tash unique insight into understanding difficult behaviours and why they occur, as well as understanding how emotional regulation and sensory input impacts us and our behaviour. This insight has helped Tash design and implement resources and coping strategies to make home life calmer and more organised. Join Tash as she talks about day-to-day life with autism, the sucky bits and the wins, plus tips for enjoying life despite the challenges.
Hello, this episode is about poop for no particular reason other than poop and autism tend to go hand in hand quite literally. So yeah, children are disgusting. We've just got so many poo stories. So I'm like, other families are going to have poo stories. So it might make you feel more normal. Sometimes you just got to laugh rather than rocking and crying in the corner. So our poo stories, it's been eaten in our house. I thought it was a chocolate cookie. It wasn't a chocolate cookie. I'm not going to say which child or... they were little. They were really little. And... they're disgusting. My girl, this was really cute. In the mornings, she would sing. So she's in a room in the cot. So she was under 2. And she would sing. She's just happily singing. And like for her, because we didn't get a lot out of her, and you didn't see personality very often, her singing was really cute. So I left her to it. Like in the morning, she was happy. And, yeah, then we'd go in there and she'd been singing while painting with a poop. So, yeah, poop, unfortunately, is built-in sensory play, it would seem. So it's smushy and it's warm and it's disgusting. Anyway, sorry, I've got my own sensory issues, as most people will with poop. But kids don't seem to care. And, yeah, that was fun. That was fun cleaning up crusty poop from the cot, and it was more a kick off the nappy situation, painting with our heels is the word I'm after. Yeah, that was fun. My boy would do weird stuff in the night as far as sensory went, and waking up in the morning or getting a drink of water at night time and there's brown chunky stuff all over your light switches, and so he would trail his hand along the wall till he got to the light switch, and then you could see the light switch was turned on, and then another trail at light switch height till he got to his destination, which was the fridge or the cupboard or whatever. That time it was peanut butter. Yeah, so that didn't happen with poop. Ew. But other times he would, you'd wake up in the middle of the night or in the morning and he'd just be standing there breathing near your face, and his hands would be brown, and he'd be going like this, like you were, if you can't see me, like you were washing your hands. And I'm like, and you're just thinking, you're just hoping it's chocolate. Because when you're asleep, your smell sensors go, yeah, which is why it's really important to have smoke alarms, because you don't necessarily smell smoke in time in a fire. So you don't smell it to start, you see it first. And I'm like, there is no chocolate. There's no Nutella. No, it wasn't chocolate or Nutella. And those mornings were fun. And yeah, sadly, more than once on all those occasions. I hadn't planned on going down this path, but now that we're talking about poop, we might as well. So autism comes with that upset gut health. I don't have it off the top of my head as far as the correct terms and the reasons why and whatever else, but as a general rule, it comes with gut issues. And my boy used to poo 12 times a day. So we would go through 12 to 24, it would have been more 18 to 24 nappies a day with him, because he was just a little poo machine. And not little nice poos, like explosive poops. And if he'd just pooped, so you're supposed to, you feed them one side, and then I would have to wake him up because he'd fall asleep because he's a runty little baby. And then in changing his nappy, so mid feed, he would poo while you're changing his nappy. So it would fire out his little butthole, hit me in the belly button, and run down my body. Oh, and it was every change that happened. Okay, maybe not every change, but it was at least once a day. Yeah? So one or more of those 12 nappy changes and poos and so much poo. And then all the washing that goes with that. And then back then, modern cloth nappies were a big thing. I don't know whether they are now. I'm not dealing with more poop. We deliberately won't get another pet because I cannot deal with more poop in the house. But back then, everyone was doing the modern cloth nappies, so I should be doing the modern cloth nappies, and there's just buckets of various soaking poop around. I don't know how long I did that for. Too long. So pick your battles as a parent, especially when you're a special needs parent. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to keep everyone happy. Yes, look after the environment and that, but look after your mental health, yeah? Once your mental health is out the window, then everyone's in the family is at risk, yes? As far as poop goes, I have zero useful strategies because my kids tended to do it. So my girl would do it when she's singing in the morning, so that was painting the cot with poop. My boy grew out of that stage, thankfully. And look, I don't know how any parent would deal with that. I obviously didn't have to deal with it for long. Now, I'm talking about he must have scooped it out of his nappy. He would have had to have scooped it out of his nappy, I think, to then play with it like Play-Doh. But that stage didn't last for that long. I just remember it in one particular house and we weren't there too long, and it never happened in the houses after that. So sometimes it's just a stage, yes? So if you're in the middle of this, it might just be a stage. It might just go away by itself. But there's other families where it's an ongoing every single day issue or every single sleep or whatever else. I would encourage you then, because I know other parents have strategies, go and ask in your local Facebook's additional needs groups, or ask other parents where you've got some. I should stick links on the website as well to hear. I don't know whether they're just WA based, but there are other families out there. If you're in one of those pages and it's a safe space to ask questions, you can do that anonymously as well. Ask other parents that have been through it. You're much less likely to be judged in a additional needs, special needs, disability sort of group, because other people will be living this day in, day out as well. Whereas some of this stuff, I mean, look, I know I've just said it in a podcast, but I'm years past dealing with this now. But yeah, there are safe places to ask. And if you have questions as well, feel free to PM me on Facebook, because I'm happy to hear about your stories and give any 2 cents worth that I have from my experience. And it'll also help as far as future podcasts as well for, you know, questions that other families have that they're going through and things that I may have forgotten, or the less obvious things. And look, just because I've got 2 kids with autism and ADHD and PDA and whatever other letters, it doesn't mean that I've experienced everything there too, yeah? So if we're going to talk about poop, we might as well talk about spew. This one I do have a few more strategies for. So my girl would regularly, weekly, if not more often, throw up in the car, which we thought was car sickness, which I think still is a part of it. But a bigger part of it, which I didn't realize because I didn't understand the sensory processing issues, but her pants, the elastic around her waist was enough to make her throw up. So being folded up in a car seat, which is a bit squishier around the middle than a normal chair, that was enough to make her throw up. And the amount of times cleaning apple porridge in particular out of all the bits and pieces of the car seat in the bottom parking level of a shopping centre, it happened way too many times. And yeah, it must have been inconsistent enough to not be prepared every single trip. Or look, I was probably just that sleep deprived that didn't think it through. But that's still an ongoing issue even now. So yeah, some things they grow out of, some things not so much. But looking at the sensory side of things, so what could actually be causing it, and understanding sensory profiles. Like, to me, before having these kids, my kids, I would never have thought elastic could make you become so physically sick that you throw up. But that's a whole nother world of, I don't know, knowledge, experience, whatever that you're exposed to when you have kids with additional needs. And look, it may not be elastic for your kid. It may be something else that sets them off. It may not be vomiting. It may be, you know, another way. Migraines is one for me when my clothing is too tight. Yeah, which I would never have put them together until realizing that my kids were similar. Yes? And you know, understanding how sensory input can impact our moods and how we're feeling and then how we behave. And it's a kind of like a domino effect. Yeah, I know I've gone off tangent here, but I hope this information, if not being useful to you, just, you know, bringing up, creating awareness of autism is just not avoiding eye contact and having meltdowns. Yeah, there's so much more to it. There's so much more. So you can imagine the behaviors that you see are like the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more going on underneath that when we begin to realize what these are and understand what they are, have empathy because of that understanding, then we tend to parent very differently. We see situations very differently. So instead of you've just eaten too much again, which that in itself is another thing, that's interoception. So my girl, she doesn't know when she's eaten too much, and throwing up is a fairly good indicator that yes, you may have, but it's not always that. Yeah. I guess long story short, I'm hoping some of these stories, some of my experience, will be things that you can relate to as a parent with kids with autism, or an educator with kids with autism in your class, or whether you're a support worker, however that looks for you, and to know that there are other people out there going through this too. So I wish I had have had, you know, any of this when my kids were little. I had a really good speechy and OT, so they understood the sensory, but it's still, you know, it was whatever I could pick up through therapy sessions. So hopefully through these podcasts and also the sensory profile and emotional regulation training on the website, that you can pick up some tips and strategies and begin to see things differently and understand what's going on, and therefore be able to parent differently and more effectively, and, you know, have and build those relationships with your kids that are otherwise really difficult to do when they're screaming all the time and when you're constantly setting them off because you don't understand what's going on, versus when you start to understand, you can read their behavior a bit better, you can see when they're escalating, you can put tools and strategies in place. And yes, it takes time and effort, a lot of trial and error, but at least having a toolbox can help you, you know, go through that process a little bit smoother. All right, I'm going to stop there today. I will talk to you soon.